Poor Rush Limbaugh. The big, bad, left-leaning world is out to smear him, to impugn his good name, to intentionally twist his comments to help the far left-wing forces in a liberal war to silence him. Please. Rather than just apologizing for his controversial comments where it sure sounded like he was calling anti-war soldiers phony soldiers, or even just saying there was a misunderstanding and moving on, Rush has joined a chorus of right-wingers playing the blame game rather than owning up to their own mistakes. Today, Rush spent 3 hours attacking everyone from Hillary Clinton to Harry Reid, General Wesley Clark, to other vets who criticized him. Anyone, anything to change the subject away from his own misstep. My take. No surprise here. He's taking a page from the far-right handbook. Offense is your best defense. Attack your attackers. Never apologize. Never admit weakness. And don't let the facts get in the way. If you look back at just the past couple of weeks, it seems Rush is in good company among his brethren on the radical right. From Fox's Bill O'Reilly, who made at the least ignorant comments about African-American diners in Harlem, to Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, accused of making inappropriate comments to an employee, and now Rush. The key: portray yourself as the outraged victim of a liberal campaign.
They know that the lunatic fringe despises me, so get this false charge ginned up, this smear, and the lunatic fringe, who doesn't care about the truth anyway, jumps right on it.
Why did you use that language? I mean, why a high-tech lynching?
If somebody just wantonly tries to destroy you, if somebody comes in and just drags you out of your house and beats the hell out of you, what is it?
Every weekday we do 3 hours of commentary, 2 on the radio, 1 on TV, and every day the far-left smear website Media Matters takes that commentary out of context and feeds the defamation out to the public.
It's all about the left-wing conspiracy to get them. Joining us now, a man who may have the handbook, I don't know, conservative radio talk show host Lars Larson, Craig Crawford of the Congressional Quarterly, and MSNBC political analyst Pat Buchanan, who may have had the handbook. I think they may have taken it away from him now. All right, Lars, let me start with you. I mean, it does seem like every time someone on the far right gets attacked, the first thing they do is attack, and Rush is doing it here.
No, I disagree with you, Dan, and I see the bias bleeding through in what you've said. If Rush believes he's right, there's no reason to back down. Maybe the reason the left always backs down is because they say ridiculous things and then realize they're ridiculous. Rush stands by his words. God bless him.
So it's just that the right, Pat, just always gets it right, and the left just always gets it wrong. And that's why they've got to apologize.
But more often. More often.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say, look, MoveOn.org put up their ad. They put $80,000 behind it, premeditated.
And
that general betray us.
Wait, Pat. Then they paid the New York Times the difference because they were effectively saying...
I don't care about that, but let me say this. This is what I'm talking about. My point is...
Go ahead.
My point is, it was a premeditated assault upon the integrity and the patriotism of General Petraeus, and 30 Democratic senators got up and said, we can't support that. That was real. It wasn't fabricated.
Well, wait. Whether it was real, whether the Senate should have signed on to that bill or not, signed on to that resolution or not, is a separate issue here. I agree with you. They shouldn't have signed on. I don't think that there should be. I don't think there should be this condemnation of Rush in the Congress. There shouldn't be a condemnation of Move On in the Congress. But the bottom line is, Craig Crawford, that to me reflects the problem here, is that the Democrats sign on to this condemnation of Move On, and yet when it comes to the right, they will never, ever admit weakness.
And I think that is what's happening here, is they're trying to prove to their base that we can be tough too. We're going to take on Rush. And the trouble with Rush's claim that he's been smeared is to smear it has to be false, the accusations against you. And when you really parse what he said and the timeline of what he said, there's an interpretation available, I guess, like the one he's asserting. But it sort of undercut his argument that, on his own website and the clips he showed, he cut out about a minute and a half between the phony soldiers comment and the reference to the one soldier who had been convicted for falsifying his records, which he says he was talking about when he said phony soldiers. He himself edited that so that it made it look more like that's what he was talking about.
Nobody really believes Rush Limbaugh despises or loathes soldiers who fight.
That's not the point, Pat.
That's not what I believe.
You're just going overboard.
I'm just trying to say what he said and what it seems like he meant.
Let's be clear. clear. No one on this program believes that Rush Limbaugh despises the soldiers. No one.
Right.
Okay? Let's all agree on that. No one believes that. The question is, when you say something you shouldn't say, is the response to then blame everyone else.
No.
It's everyone else's fault.
If you're attacked for it, Dan, you fight back. That's what you learn.
Here's Russia's version. Hang on one sec. Here's Russia's version. Hang on one second. Here's Russia's version of an apology.
I want to apologize today to all of you in the United States military, active duty and retired, for this smear. I'm not apologizing for myself. I'm apologizing for MediaMatters.org, for Hillary Clinton, for Harry Reid. I'm apologizing for all of these groups who are undertaking efforts to demoralize you. They will not apologize to you for their actions, nor will they apologize to me. But I want to apologize to you on their behalf for this storm having been created out of thin air, out of a total lie.
I feel so much better, Pat.
Well, look,
Dan.
I mean, Rush, the point is, in Middle America, I think Rush has beaten the daylights out of these guys because nobody believes he's got an animus against these soldiers. If it was anything, it was a simple foot fault, and he's only fighting back because he's under attack, which is what he ought to do. He didn't do anything wrong.
Fighting back is what will work in this case, most likely. I mean, my gosh, Don Imus apologized, and the people he apologized to accepted his apology.
Let me ask you. That's a good. You bring up Don Imus, and I'll get you back in here, Craig. Lars. But let me play this. This is John Kerry. Remember, John Kerry had a similar type of misstep. Here's how he dealt with it, and then he went on Imus to apologize.
Of course I'm sorry about a botched joke. You think I love botched jokes? I mean, it's pretty stupid.
So, Lars, your explanation...
That's not a botched joke.
Yeah,
that's John Kerry.
Right, so, Lars, your explanation for all of this would be that Bill O'Reilly's been misinterpreted.
No,
Rush
not
Limbaugh's been misinterpreted.
You were wrong when you said that Bill O'Reilly had said something that was racist or inappropriate.
I didn't say racist.
He said...
what I said was ignorant.
Ignorant. So he's saying that a restaurant in Harlem is the same as restaurants everywhere else in Manhattan.
Come on.
What's ignorant about that?
Lars, that's not... Look, we can go back. We can play the quote of what he said. And what he said is he seemed stunned.
Well, so what,
No,
Dan? Maybe he's untutored, but that's not evil.
That's right. I agree. I said ignorant.
Well, let's go back to John Kerry. Senator Kerry basically said, if you're stupid, you're in the military. He was damning everybody in the military is stupid.
And this is why Lars is good at this, Craig.
Senator Kerry's stupid.
Lars is good at this. He's good at changing the subject. He's good at talk radio. And the problem is, and Craig, you correct me if I'm wrong, is it that the left just isn't as good at this?
I think not, and I think conservatives like Rush Limbaugh and O'Reilly, they understand something. I remember a law school professor of mine often saying, quoting Aaron Burr, that our job of a lawyer was to boldly assert and plausibly maintain. And I think Rush is doing that, and will probably, at least among his supporters, get away with it. I mean, they're going to buy what he says. That's why they call him ditto heads.
Here's what Rush said. There was an ad that came out from Vote Vets that was very critical of Rush. Rush went after them today, and the person who was the subject of the ad was just on Keith Olbermann's show responding. Let's listen.
This is such a blatant use of a valiant combat veteran lying to him about what I said, then strapping those lies to his belt, sending him out via the media and a TV ad to walk into as many people as he can walk into.
Reaction is disgust. How someone can sit in that chair and say that I am a car bomber, or excuse me, a suicide bomber, is disgusting. I've seen the after effects of a suicide bomb. I've had friends that were hurt in suicide bombs.
Lars, what about that one?
The bottom line is that when soldiers come back and damn the mission of the military, I believe they're violating the UCMJ. If Rush wants to say they're phony soldiers because of that, and he stands by his words, then take him.
You know what, Lars? I would appreciate it if he would say that. I would say, all right, he's stating his opinion the way you just stated your opinion, and I will live by that opinion. That's your opinion. Fine. That's not what Rush is doing here, though.
Rush is also... Let me tell you what he's doing, Dan. Let me tell you what he's doing. What he's doing is he said, this is a heroic soldier, and I admire what he did, and he's a hero, and he's being used. And if he believes what he's been told, then he is really mistaken. And he used a metaphor, the so-called being sent out there. Physically, he hadn't been sent out there, and any intelligent man knows it.
All right.
And, you know, Dan, let me say what the Democrats.
Final word, Craig.
The Democrats are sending a message they're not going to be swift-voted again, and I think this is what's happening.
Yes, they are.
Lars Larson, Craig Crawford, Pat Buchanan. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.